Talked a little bit with Peter Schrager about some GMs that could potentially fit the role, but I want to know who's going to be coaching this team.
Yeah, let's do it.
Schrager's ones to watch.
Let's do it, Kay. Schrager's ones to watch. Now, I say this with a preface, obviously, that Steve Spagnuolo is the current interim coach for the rest of the season. He'll get an interview. And also that they're going to hire a general manager, most likely first, who will have a lot of input. Let's get to some names. All right, here are my ones to watch with a surprise one at the end that no one's even heard of. Number one, Josh McDaniels, Patriots offensive coordinator. Obviously, look, the 49ers were very interested in McDaniels last year, and when it came down to it, he withdrew his name. I think that Niners job could have been his before Kyle Shanahan took it, but he said, I'm out of this. I'm staying with the Patriots. I'm going to go win a Super Bowl, which he did. And obviously, he's going to hit the market again. I think Josh is ready. He hasn't come out and said, I want to be a head coach just yet, but after the Broncos experience, and I think the New York market would be a good fit for him. He's an Ohio kid. Did New England. He's got the championship pedigree, and I think he's a different guy than he was when he was with the Broncos.
Most sought after head coaching?
Again?
As far as coordinators go, I believe so.
That wins the room.
He was
Peter.
the surf and turf, remember last year?
He was the surf and turf last year, and he went to go back with New England. Now, number two, I'm also going with the other New England coordinator. Matt Patricia had an interview last year for head coaching position with the Rams. This guy, a lot of people think that he could be an NFL head coach. Now, after McAdoo with the slicked hair and the glasses and the whole thing, do you go with a guy with a big fuzzy beard and a pencil?
They both have little toddlers that dress up as them.
They do. I do think Matt Patricia would be the kind of guy that New York market would love. Look, he was, obviously we know he was a rocket scientist in college. He has the RPI. He has all that stuff. Smart dude, a tactician. You think Belichick, they say the closest thing to Belichick when it comes to X's and O's on defense is Matt Patricia, and that Patriots defense has not given up 20 points or more in the last 8 weeks. He's having an incredible season as DC.
He's unapologetic about his actions, wearing certain shirts, saying certain things, acting a certain way, and that right there
is New York. It is New York. Number three, Steve Wilks, the defensive coordinator for the Panthers. You say, who's this guy? Well, he was 5 seasons as the Panthers' secondary coach. He's now the DC. He's got 12 years of coaching experience. His connection is Dave Gettleman. They were together in Carolina. Steve Wilks is one of these guys. They say he is a true leader of men, and that Panthers defense is wonderful. When McDermott took the job up in Buffalo, a lot of people were like, what are they going to do? No, it wasn't even a question. Ron Rivera promoted Steve Wilks. He interviewed for the Chargers and the Rams job last year very well as a coach of a position group. So now he's got the defensive coordinator's job. He might be the guy here. And then my last two are college guys. Let's go through.
You wanted to make a Steve Wilkos joke there.
David Shaw.
Steve Wilks also Jerry Springer's bouncer?
No.
David Shaw is a Stanford head coach. Now, you might say, why would he want to come to New York? He's been offered NFL interviews for literally the last 10 years. He's been with Stanford the last 7 seasons. He is considered the top prize in college football. Forget Saban and Harbaugh and all these guys. David Shaw has 9 years of NFL coaching experience with the Eagles, the Raiders, the Ravens. He took that Stanford job. Anyone who meets David Shaw, whether it be the guys who work on the NFL Network, the guys who are college coaches, the guys who are NFL coaches, will tell you David Shaw is the most coveted man in college football. But he's living a good life right now up there in Palo Alto. He's got a young family. Everyone is telling me that he's not going to leave that job for anything. The New York Giants are one of those gigs where you say, the New York Giants call? You might have to listen. And the last one is my true wild card. All right.
I love him.
Matt Rule came on our show last year in the NFL draft. He left being the Temple head coach for consecutive 10-win seasons. He was Hassan Reddick's coach. He was Robbie Anderson's coach, all this stuff. At Baylor, they went 1-11 this year. You have to realize what Baylor went through with the Art Briles situation. Matt Rule was an assistant coach with the Giants a few years back. He coached David Deal. He coached Richie Soyberg. He coached all those guys. Matt Rule, born in Manhattan, went to Penn State. He is as New York as it comes. He's 42 years old, way outside the box pick. But let me tell you, I spoke to an NFL president of a team yesterday going through all the different names, and he said, well, where's Matt Rule on your list? I'm like, he's going to be a head coaching candidate? He goes, not for every team, but for the New York Giants, a guy who's been in that organization. Matt Rule, who came on our show during draft and stole our hearts and was awesome. Talk about owning the room, and he is as New York as it gets. I believe he grew up in Stuytown, which is on 19th Street. Like, he's Manhattan guy, New York guy, and coached with the Giants and is beloved in that organization. Again, way outside the box. They went 1-11 Baylor last year. But if you're looking for a young coach,
is that a Hail Mary?
That is a Hail Mary. But if he gets the interview, it almost feels like McVay to me. Get me in the room. You know, you got to be at the table. You got to be in the room where it happens.
Wants that young whiz kid.
That's what it is, and he might be the young whiz kid. He went from being a Temple assistant coach to the Temple head coach to winning all these games. took a huge job with Baylor, but that is a crazy situation where half the scholarships went away, and Art Briles left the place in smoke.
Peter, it's an incredible list. Anybody who's not on the list, is there any way they might be able to pull somebody out of broadcasting, perhaps? Maybe someone who's on a pregame show.
Got Gruden in one,
and then forget about Gruden. I'm tired of that. What about Bill Cowher?
Bill Cowher lives in New York City.
One of your coworkers, Super Bowl winner.
I'm not putting you on the spot.
What about Coach?
His name with the Steelers background and the fact that he always said, I'm not coming back. However, he does live in New York, and there's a connection with the Steelers and the Giants, with the Rooneys and the Maras. Is there even a shot, Nate? I turn to you. I don't know Bill Cowher. Is it turned to you?
You better believe I was peppering him with questions when I was working with him on Sunday. I said, hey, Coach, if you do take this job, I want to be the White House coach. And he kind of looked at me and smiled. I couldn't give you any indication that he's taking it seriously, but I do know this. He's passionate as ever about the game of football.
Okay. He's got a fire in him, and that's the thing. I think it's one of those. Why this one's so interesting, and I think Kim Jones mentioned it in her wrap that we did from yesterday. There's a lot of coaching jobs. The Indy job might be available. The Cleveland job might be available. The New York Giants.
Like coaching Notre Dame.
Prime real estate.
It is New York City, and it is Super Bowls, and it is just integrity, and his owner. Giants
is that why
job.
Josh McDaniels would find this more attractive? Why would Josh McDaniels leave as long as Brady and Belichick are there and he's just winning rings?
At some point you leave, and this has some prestige to it.
New York football Giants. Great stuff. Schrager's one.
Matt Rule. There's your wild card.